All right. Check one, check two. This is it. Welcome to the Cannabis Coffee Hour with your host, me, Rob Cantrell. Oh man, I got a great episode, a great guest. One of my good friends, dude I've done sketches with, I've done a lot of stand-up with. He was on the Little Rels show. He's written for Vice and Comedy Central. He's touring right now and has just dropped a dope special on YouTube. He was in a punk band and played drums. One of the more interesting and creative cats I know here in New York. Please give it up for Mookie Thomson.
What's up? How you guys doing?
Good, Mookie. Welcome to the Cannabis Coffee Show.
Did I just pop up on the screen, or was I already sitting there? Or am I just gonna pop up right now?
Oh, you were just sitting there.
Oh, okay. Okay. Good.
You just have to sit through that awkward intro.
I thought maybe you could edit me in. I could do like some kind of like.
Oh yeah, that could be
in
dope.
The frame or something. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, that would be dope. You're right. I'm sure there's a filter where there's like a curtain where they do like a red curtain.
Right. That would be sick. Yeah.
That would be sick.
You got to build the suspense a little bit, you know.
I know. That would. Yeah. You're right. See, Mookie, you're such a good producer and writer. Mookie helped me write and help. I mean, we didn't help me write. We did it together. We produced and directed and wrote. We pretty much. That was a great learning thing. We pretty much did everything DIY. It's called PMA, and it's on my YouTube, and I know it's on Mookie's Instagram account, but it's like 7 short films that we shot and directed and just wanted to write and act. But Mookie, so this is the Cannabis Coffee Hour. How you living, man? Are you hitting the herb these days? Where you at with the herb?
Oh, yeah.
Heavy?
I'm smoking more than ever, but it's all I really do as far as partying. I drink rarely these days, so that's my excuse to smoke as much as I want.
That's how I always did it. That's how I got rid of cigarettes, and eventually that's how I got rid of alcohol. Not that it's anything bad, but it was just like you could do one or the other. But when you start combining everything, when you're just like smoking cigarettes and smoking weed and doing rails and drinking and raging out, like it's yeah,
man, you get too cool.
Yeah. Or the hard drive, you get too cool. You start wearing studded belts and wearing sunglasses.
Yeah, you can't sustain that, man.
Yeah, you can't. It's not sustainable. Yeah. I've been talking about this, Mookie. That's the thing, is like fame and ego and power, like you, and especially a comedy career, you got to pick shit that's sustainable, that you could do over and over and over again without much effort, and that won't break down over time.
Right. That's really wise, because you see a lot of people now. I see comedians are kind of they're more, I don't want to use the word desperate, but for lack of a better word, people are just more eager to be put on so quickly that they're just willing to just like start putting out kind of like, all their undeveloped material like first year in. And that right there is not sustainable to me. You know what I mean? Like you need to develop an act and work on yourself instead of just trying to get fame right out of the gate, flash of the pan. You know what I mean?
I do know it's a weird time, and especially with reels, and you're on TikTok, is like you can really make some of these clips move, and you feel like you're moving the needle. And I think you are. I mean, it's not a either or. I think you got to do a little bit of all of it. But yeah, in the beginning, people are just like throwing their stuff out there. As soon as they get a hunk of material on videotape, they just chop it up and put it on their reels, which is, I don't know. I just think the game is changing a little bit. But like you said, is it sustainable for 15 years constantly putting out, super clips? And then all you're doing is making Instagram a lot of money, right, and making them, you're making their thing.
Yeah. I mean, the guys that are able to do it all the time, like Nimesh, who I tour with, Nimesh Patel, I mean, I'm amazed at how much content he's able to put out, but it's also like that's a full-time job. You know what I mean? He's always taping, always cutting everything to clips, constantly thinking of how do I get new material? How do I get this crowd work to keep feeding that social media beast? And it's really tough. It's like that's what I've been doing lately with the special, cutting it up and putting it out. And yeah, man, it's gonna go for a little while. I'll have like a few weeks of stuff, and then now that's really what I'm focused on right now. It's like once I run out of those clips, the whole thing goes dark again, right? So then what do? Start doing dances or?
Yeah. And then it kind of dries up. I put out a roll of clips. Like I remember you gave me a shout out, and but now
that was awesome.
Oh, thank you. But it felt good. Like I was like, oh shit, this shit's moving. But then I ended up with the clips. I kind of went through the best of the best that I had like laying on the hard drive because it wasn't like recorded shows pandemic time. I'm saving that up. I'm still kind of touch and go with the whole thing. I just did Colorado. I did a bunch of shows there, and I just got a text that the feature act got COVID that I was working with.
Excellent.
Yeah, but I tested negative last night. I'm going to test again tonight. And I was wearing a mask. In Colorado, nobody was wearing a mask. I wore a mask everywhere. I wasn't fucking around until I went on stage. And then outside, I would just smoke joints by myself and wave.
Yeah. But anyway, just to close the loop on what I was talking about, that content stuff, I think what I've learned recently is like you get a lot more out of actually taking your time and taping something high end. And even if you run out of material, if you're not putting stuff out constantly, I think the quality over quantity actually is still okay. So I think that people should focus on that a little more in this internet age. You know what I mean? It's like I'm really happy that this is like I'm almost 13 years in now, and I haven't really released any stand-up. And I was telling myself yesterday, like I'm so happy that I haven't actually got a set on TV or something before this, because I would have hated it compared to where I'm at now as a comic.
Totally. No, you always feel that way. You always feel that way, and it's always going. But the only thing is that I'm a little bit too precious with my stuff, and sometimes I hang on to it too long, and then it kind of gets dead. Like there is a point where the material is like, it's ripe. The fruit is ripe. You know, it's like when if I dig back to like stuff I did 3 years ago, some of the Cold Crushers, they might get laughs, but they don't have the punchity punch as the new stuff, you know? So
but that time always comes back around.
It always does come back around. It's always timing. Like I say a little bit about life, and it's a lot of it's just timing, you know, and just feeling the mode and feeling the moment like, okay, now it's time to release. And you felt, you know, hey, you've been touring with Nimesh. Hey, you got this high-end cameras. You taped your special in Minneapolis, one of the better clubs in the country. What's the name of that club again?
Acme Comedy Co.
Yeah, Acme There's like 5 really top of the line comedy clubs where the owners like really care and give a shit, and the crowd's into it for all the right reasons. And Acme is one of them. One of them is like Denver Comedy Club, and then Acme Comedy Works, and then Acme, and then the Punchline in San Francisco. There's just a couple clubs where it's just known to be like just a good setup, and that's what you did, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, Acme has like 3 cameras set up in the club already, and I really, to be honest, wasn't planning to shoot a special. I just realized, you know, they told me they had these cameras, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to definitely get some content for, you know, for social media or whatever. And then just so happens I had been running that set for, you know, a year and a half. We did almost 200 shows on the road, and that was almost like the end of that run. So it was just like the tightest it was ever going to be. And the cop jokes in Minneapolis happen to be more relevant than anywhere, anytime, you know what I mean? Like that was the time and place for those bits.
Yeah. Yeah, you do have it. You lean in a little bit on that.
I'm not sure. But so
check.
Yeah, but so it everything just kind of worked out. You know what I mean? I got this great footage. It was the cop stuff in Minneapolis, and then once I looked at it, I was like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna cut this all into a special. I knew it wasn't gonna be the most like perfectly produced thing ever. It's a little rough around the edges, but to me, it was just for my first thing more about the material. You know, just get that out there. And it looks good enough. That's what I figured. I just keep saying it's good enough. Nobody really cares that much about how a special looks.
Yeah, now you're contradicting what you said earlier.
What do you mean?
No, but there is.
No. I was talking about the actual art, not like necessarily the production. Like, I mean, like that set was like super polished, super worked on, very thought out. And then, you know, now I'm putting out the bits and all that. And what else? You know, I don't mean production wise. Like, if you're gonna put out stand up, I think content trumps production, like, you know, 100% of the time.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because you'll look at something that's shot in the back of a weird club, and if the joke is funny, it'll get just as much as, oh, here's this TV set from Conan. You know, that's what I do.
Right.
Like, I have an early reel of me on Last Comic Standing, and then I have one that's at Gutter, which is literally at the back of a bowling alley in Williamsburg. And that one has, that one is my biggest one. You know, the one from the Gutter was actually got more hits just because it was a newer joke and stronger joke in the sound, and there was good laughs on it that it just popped better.
Yeah. And also, like, I mean, it's just like random timing too sometimes with these clips. Like, on my TikTok page, I'll have one video do 400 views, and then the next day a similar video will do 20,000 views. And it's very hard to figure out why exactly. A lot of it has to do with just like the time of day that you post for what audience is on there. And I mean, so much of the game is trying to predict all that shit, but you'll drive yourself nuts doing it.
Yeah, you can't. It's like trying to capture lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
As much as they say the internet like kind of was a cheat sheet to capture lightning in a bottle, it's still hard to get lightning in a bottle, you know? It still has to be just some like reason that it smacks. And I will say that's what I like about TikTok is like it'll just have some type of weird saying or a clip of the song. And I'm not even on there, but I will start feeding clips coming up eventually. But it like Lil Nas X, like how he's like the biggest artist right now, like going on this monster tour. And it was literally from, you know, Old Town Road, like 15-minute clip that he made in, you know, on his computer in probably 10 minutes.
Yeah. He tricked the whole world into singing along to a gay cowboy song. I mean, that's one of the greatest pranks in history. Everyone in like every kid in like elementary schools across the country were like singing the song, and then like all of a sudden all their parents found out he was gay and their fucking heads exploded like, no.
Yeah, but when you really think about like, it's almost like when you live in the moment and you really see reality for what reality is, it's like, of course he's a gay dude. Did you see?
Yeah. I remember
he's
one of the lines
about riding a horse and getting out of town, and but maybe he's not. But you know, I kind of differ on. I think some people could be non-sexual. I think just identifying that whole thing. I hear what you're saying, but I don't think anybody my age or younger doesn't really. Do they really trip on people being gay? Does it people your age trip on people being gay?
No, but it's more the middle of the country. People probably a little older than you still, but
those guys aren't alive.
Yeah.
COVID's taking out those cats left and wrong. I'm seeing it out there. But no, I don't wish any bad ill on anybody. But yeah, it's weird how the dumbest of us like hold things back sometimes, you know. But that's how, you know.
That's what I really want. I like that song, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Do you know that one? It's like his big hit right now. If you don't like that song, like you don't have like a heart and a soul. It's just like pure pop music.
I fucks with that. I mean, I always liked Old Town Road, and then I liked how savvy he was. I don't really like internet trolls, and I know he kind of is that generation of internet trolls, but I get it, and it's funny. He's meme captain of the world. But yeah, I just think he's a funny, cool cat. Like, even I don't care. And and he doesn't bow down, and he does it in a peaceful way. You know, he's just like, yeah, I'm gonna put devil's blood in these Nike shoes, and I'm gonna booty clap on this dude, the devil over here. And if you don't see the sense of humor or the absurdity or just the campiness of that, you know, it's like, I think that's the trick. It's like, you know, kind of like that whole Lower East Side, you know, kind of transsexual, divine, like showbiz thing. You know, it's just like, it's always been there. The kind of little bit of shock value, a little bit of nonconformist. Now, Mookie, you play. I want to talk. Man. I want to talk about your special. We'll switch back to it, but you know, these are stoners, so I like mixing in music. I like mixing in food. And you were in a punk band, and I'm really getting back into a little bit of punk roots, but I'm old, so it's kind of funny. I'm not old, but per se, I'm not going into a mosh pit. Like, I look at it on video, I'm like, oh shit, I would choke at a minute. But at the same time, I'm like, oh shit, there's a busted ass elbow. There's a torn ankle right there. But how long were you in you played in hardcore bands in your teenage years? Is that right?
Yeah, for a long time. I mean, from like 14 to I'd say like 22, 21, 22.
Wow.
Yeah, like I played drums in a band and I sang in a band, and I had like a little micro record label that put out 2 releases, toured a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, you gave me your title. You took it serious. So yeah, it sounds, and then you went from 14 to 22. That's actually a career, because that's like 6, 7, 8. That's 8 years playing.
Quick math.
What's that?
That was some good quick math.
Yeah, man. I always go to, do you do that move? You go to 10? I always go to like 10 and then I add 2 more. Cause I always know
I'm good with the 7 timetable. So I know 14, 21, that's 7 right away.
Yeah. That's a good one. I always remember 4 times 8 is 32. And I don't know why. I just remember it. And then, but when you start throwing like 9 times 7, that's when it gets a little tricky. I might have to slow it down.
Yeah, that's a tough one. But then you just go 10 times 7 minus 7. Boom.
Yeah.
63.
There's all those cool little tricks. And that's what I was doing there. And we all kind of come up with them. And then there's like learned ones. But the fun one for me, Mookie, is, dude, hit me with a 5. Because I love saying 5, 10, 15, 28.
Oh, yeah, that's the best. That's everyone's favorite.
Yeah.
That's like the juicy of the times tables. Everyone wants to sing along.
Yeah. Totally, man.
What were we talking about? Oh, hardcore. Yeah.
Talking about hardcore. And I busted talking about it. I didn't chip it, but I like the microphone hit my tooth because I was so excited about that 5 joke. Yeah. But yeah, you were in hardcore bands and you took it serious. Like you were like, we're going to break through, because right now the biggest band out there is Turnstile. I don't know. That's just I'm scared for those guys. They're looking at them like,
so Turnstile's manager Nirvana. Is one of my close friends that I like grew up with doing hardcore and shit. He was actually like kind of like one of my little brothers in the hardcore scene, and now he is Turnstile's manager. He's one of the biggest like movers and shakers in hardcore. He like runs everything now. And he's sang in a band called
right now. He's
sang in a band called Backtrack. If any of your listeners like hardcore, check out this band called Backtrack. It's like real New York hardcore. They have a ton of records. They're hard as shit. So those guys were like the younger dudes in the scene when I was coming up, and then like I got old. I turned fucking 23 and aged out, old man. And they took over and really did their thing. Like my bands, we kind of had probably potential to blow up, but we were too fat and we were just busy eating sandwiches and fucking hanging out in Long Island to really to really push. But we did like a couple tours and shit and had our stuff. But the music was fire, that's for sure. And still to this day, people.
What were the names of your bands, Mookie?
I sang in a band called Caught Up. And then I played drums in a band called Another Day. I wish that you could that anyone could find this stuff, but you're not going to. It's mad underground. If you don't have
You
physical
gave me a
copies,
piece of vinyl. I think I got it on my
yeah.
hard files. You gave me some vinyl. Like I have a trunk.
Hey, wait, do you have a way to rip that into MP3s?
Well, there is a place I just did some family DigiCon or it's over there in Greenpoint. They do video
Okay.
transfer, but you should check them out. It's DIJ. It's DIJI something, but just put in video. But you give them anything and they could transfer it to MP3 or whatever you need. They did video files. I got all these old Last Comic Standing video files transferred through those cats.
Yeah, I don't even have the MP3s of any of that stuff right now. It's like I can't even listen to it. I don't have a record player either in my house.
Like you play drums. Like what was your setup at home? Like I think musicians, they always got like one guitar. I got my guitar, but I'm not like a musician. But when I go to other cats' house, you have the home studio. But you were a drummer. You got to have room for a kit.
Yeah, well, part of the reason why I stopped playing drums was moving to Brooklyn, because I moved to Brooklyn back in like 2005 and never had room for a drum set again. So it like just sat at my parents' house for years, and then I eventually sold off the cymbals. And I think the kit is actually still sitting in my parents' basement with missing all the pieces.
Oh, we gotta get that bad boy out.
Yeah, I mean, I would, but I just have no place to put it. Honestly, I really want.
There has to be like a dingy rehearsal space around there. Like you live in Greenpoint.
Yeah, but
right?
that shit ain't cheap.
No, it's not.
Hundreds a month to hang on to. You need like 6 guys, all split it up. Everyone pays their 25.
Or maybe somebody had a rehearsal space that you could stash it until you got the good setup. Because I would say, like, if I knew how to play, the thing about being a drummer is like you're always in work. If like a band they always fire in the drummer. Like they're hard to stick around because they're laying down the beat the whole time. So it's like this aerobic workout that it's like so physical and numbing after a while if you do like a 40-minute set, right?
Yeah, it's tough. I did a tour once where both of my bands were on the same shows together, and there was always fights because I would say that I would have to play drums before I sang, because after singing it was impossible to play drums because I would be so destroyed.
Yeah,
singing in a hardcore band is the most exhausting thing you could possibly do. I mean, and then drumming and stuff.
I could have done that, but not now. Man, I love yelling, as you know from my stand-up act.
Yeah, but then there was always tension between the bands. Like, oh, you just want to headline when you're singing, so you wanted them to go second. I was like, nah, bro, we're playing for like 16 people in a church. Like, it really is irrelevant.
Yeah. And mentally performing as stand-up, like mentally performing, like, and putting yourself out there, being the front man, like they all say, but it is a kind of a hard gig because you're kind of taking everything to the face. Like you're kind of dealing with I mean, if the band sucks, it's kind of on you. If you suck, you're making the band look sucky. And people hate on you because the chicks dig you. And
well, people definitely hated on me, but no, as a front man, I was a complete wild man. It was pure chaos.
Did you do any backflips?
No, I wasn't acrobatic, but just very energetic.
Did you crowd surf every time? Because that's what I see from these like turnstile big videos. Like everybody just runs up and does the, rock and roll, the stage dive to get the. But nowadays with clout, I think it makes it everybody's just doing it.
Yeah, I mean, our shows were never that big, dude. Like even like the biggest shows we played were maybe like 100 people or some shit like that. But like the shows that I would attend would be like that. Like I would go see fucking bands at CBGBs and shit like that. Like, or like drive up to Boston.
What was the first time you went to CBGBs? What was the first time?
First time I ever went there was actually a terrible band called Poison the Well. They're like a Florida, like emo metalcore band.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
They're cool, but that was the first time. I wish it was something cooler, but the best
Did
time
you go
I
by
ever.
yourself, or did you go with your sister or your older sister?
No, just like other hardcore kids and shit. They used to do Sunday matinees where you can get in if you're 16.
Would you take the subway, or did your dad drive you there?
Yeah, no, take the train in, take the subway, just fucking
Yeah,
roll
yeah.
over
Mookie
there.
lived on Long Island growing up.
Yeah,
That's
and
sick.
yeah, but
Did
I
you
saw
drink
the
at
Gorilla Biscuit.
CBGBs, or you were straight edge?
Oh, straight edge all day, bro. Yeah.
Dude, I think that's so rad. Like, that's the crazy thing. Like, Mookie's way out there. Like, he's almost Hunter S. Thompson these days, or he's had some, but I guess you said like from the ages of 14 to 18, Mookie drank no alcohol and smoked no cigarettes. You were like, and yeah, during your teen years.
Yeah,
That's
full on
cool.
straight edge, angry punk rocker.
Yeah, judging everything.
I had more fights than sex. Put it that way.
Yeah, that's a lot of pent up testosterone there. Dead sober.
Yeah.
A lot of backed up nut. Yeah. That's funny, man. So do you listen to hardcore still now?
I kind of took a bit of a break for a while, but I've recently gotten heavily back into it. It's kind of like all I've been listening to. Like
there's a time and a place for it.
Yeah, but it's also having a big resurgence at the moment too. Like, since post-pandemic, it's really exploded. There's this video guy called Hate56. It's the word hate number 5 and the word 6.
Yeah, I've seen his videos.
Yeah, if you don't follow him, go check his shit out. He posts these like really high-end videos of hardcore festivals and shows and drum camps and really awesome stuff. And he's
all in Brooklyn. He has a great turnstile of Brooklyn. And then I saw that what I was going to ask you about, just to weave it in there, was the Cro-Mags playing at that outdoor park over at
Tompkins.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that. Like, did you see those? Like, that's a resurgence. The crowd is crazy, and it's all the COVID zombies and gutter punks coming back from the dead, man, coming out there to rock and roll. It's hilarious. Yeah, there's something beautiful and horrible, and I don't know. It's part of like coming out of the pandemic a little bit.
Yeah, and on top of that, there's a lot of new female led hardcore bands that are really killing it and are awesome, and especially this band called Gel, Gel, from New Jersey. They're so fucking cool, man. And that's awesome. Just an awesome thing too, because when I was coming up in the scene, there was never enough of that. It's not just boys fun, you know.
I know, too much dudes. After a while with rock and roll, like Van Halen and Led Zeppelin, dudes are like, oh my God, and you're just like, dude, you're worshiping like another dude. But to see a chick rock out, there's something even beyond sexual about it. It's just cool. Like the Smashing Pumpkins had a great bassist. The Talking Heads had a female bassist, which were both like super rad and both super amazing. They had to be good in order to come up. But yeah, I never.
Especially a singer too. A singer to me is so cool because like punk rock and hardcore music is all about the underdogs, and there's nothing more underdog than a little chick trying to be tough singing in a band, and then when they absolutely kill it and they're fucking even harder than any of the dudes, like there's nothing that makes me happier than seeing that.
Dude, the popular band when I first got to San Francisco in '99 was and it was like kind of the early hipster scene. I just started doing stand-up, but in the Mission District was Bride of Ozzy. And it was an Ozzy Osbourne Black Sabbath cover band with this girl singer that would wear duct tapes like the plasmatics, like on her nipples, and just rock out to Black Sabbath. I mean, they tear it down. Like they would play house party. They were like almost like a biker gang. Like their hipster cred was like they weren't even that mainstream. They were just taking shit over. And I remember they have a couple videos. They never went out there. You know, music in these little scenes, like things pop up organically. And that's a lot like, you know, that's why I think people dig hardcore right now, or the band Turnstile, because you could tell it kind of came from hard work and and the stuff is kind of really aggressive and weird. So if it's done well, it just looks super cool and sounds super cool. Like a lot of like how much like the more I make music, and I'm not saying I make great music, but like hip hop, like how much of hip hop is just trash? There's only
Oh
like,
yeah,
there's only like 3% or like a 1% that is actually good now,
yeah.
in
I
the
want to
whole
speak on that.
spectrum.
I want to definitely talk about that. But before I forget, have you seen this documentary, Bad Reputation, the Joan Jett documentary on Hulu?
Yeah, I think I
That
did.
just relates to what we were just talking about. It's so cool. If anyone out there hasn't seen it too, she's one of the like raddest human beings of all time, dude.
Oh, dude, she is the epitome of rock and roll, man.
Yeah, absolutely. But on the hip hop thing, dude, like that's kind of why I started getting more back into hardcore too. Like I got really bored with the hip hop scene, and it's been real bad for a long time. But the new Pusha T album is maybe one of the best hip hop albums I've ever heard, man. Like I'm struggling with where to put it in my top 5 of all time right now. Swear to God. So I think Pusha T single-handedly saved hip hop, and most people don't even realize yet what an absolute classic this album is. Yet it's a sleeper. I guarantee, like you'll listen to it start to finish, and you'll repeat it.
Yeah. Neck and Wrist, I've heard.
Which song is that? Neck and Wrist.
It's the one with Jay-Z.
Oh, the one with Jay-Z is called Neck and Wrist. Yeah, with Jay-Z and Pharrell. It's fucking amazing, dude. That song.
I was seeing your chain. I was thinking you would know that song, the first one.
I don't know all the track titles, man, but I've listened to it like 13 times all the way.
I like Jay's flow on it. Pusha T, I like, and he's from Virginia. I mean, he is as hip hop as it gets because he's originally from the Bronx. I know a lot about him, and I think that
these songs are like the opening track is like basically a straight up Biggie Small song. It's just like, goddamn, the king is back. And then it's just like every song is like almost like a slightly different style of hip hop with like Dreaming of the Past. Now I'm looking at the track list because I know the names. Dreaming of the Past is like a more like soulful, like look back at everything. It's just, man, what an album, dude. I can't say enough about it. No, it's on Spotify. Yeah.
It's on Spotify.
No.
But that means something if you put it on your Spotify. I think that means something too. Like, I'm gonna download your shit. You ever get that after shows? Like people are like, I'm gonna download your shit, and you're like, dope. But now Spotify took my album off, so I'm kind of bummed. I'm kind of trying to figure out my relationship.
What happened with that?
They're still not putting it on. I got a fucking email this morning from 800.
Why is it not on?
Because it's about the rights and
because you do all the too much anti-vaccine propaganda.
Yeah, I don't do enough for that. No, I think it's all about money. That situation with that record, they just don't, Spotify's just known not to pay the artists enough, but you got to use them because they are dope. And I don't know, it's a whole thing. Hopefully that will get worked out. I don't want to make this about me. But yeah, I did get rid of my Spotify because they weren't playing my album, so I took it down.
Yeah, I mean that's upsetting to me. I'm a Rob Cantrell loyalist. I might have to write a letter. I'm gonna.
And I know a couple people that work at.
I'm gonna pull a Neil Young, but in reverse. Like, if you don't put Rob's album back on, I will pull all of my content from Spotify. And they're gonna say, "Who's this now?"
Dude, I played in 2 hardcore bands in Long Island. Next day, and another fist.
Oh yeah, man.
What was your number 1 song in hardcore? What was your hit, Mookie?
My hit, like the name of the song?
Yeah. You had one favorite. At least you guys thought it was that.
Yeah, no, I mean, we definitely did. I mean, I think like the band I sang for, our biggest song, I think the songs had such retarded names. I'm trying to remember. It's such a long time ago. I think it was just called SD, which probably stood for sucking dick.
I mean,
I
you were
swear to God.
14. Yeah.
Yeah, it just had like some random ass name, but the song wasn't about that or anything. It was
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of like
So
all
like
the
a
songs were
graffiti
angry.
tag of some sort. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird how graffiti and hardcore mix together. But
Yeah.
they're there.
I was actually thinking about this earlier today, how there's it's a very New York specific thing that a lot of people don't get. It's like a punk rock and hip hop combined style. And that comes from like the Queens influence. You know what I mean? Specifically like Queens hardcore and like, even like the New York hardcore bands like Madball and stuff like that. Those guys are also very like street and hip hop inspired. The New York
Because it's
hardcore
New York.
sound.
If you're into music, you're
Yeah.
getting like the best hip hop. So everybody, it's like Nas is looked upon like Frank Sinatra of an 80s kid, or a 90s kid.
Yeah.
It's just like it was on, and all your older brothers and all your friends and everybody's uncles listened to, Nas and Hot 97 because it was, it
Right.
was the biggest fucking shit. And it was the good. They should be listening to it. It was good.
Right. And Madball is like a hugely influential band in like modern hardcore, like really kind of pushed the transition from the more like punk rock, melodic inspired stuff into just more straight up, just like beat down violent music. But it was very hip hop inspired. It's kind of known for this sort of bounce in the drums, like
it had kind of a happy feel. Yeah. I kind of got Madball. I didn't grow up with that, but I listened to it and I know that whole like they play the trumpets with the dog like dun, 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 and everybody.
No. That's Gorilla Biscuits.
That's right. That's Gorilla Biscuits. Okay.
That's positive hardcore. Madball is the exact opposite. Everything is about they're literally a street gang, a DMS like
they would punch you in the face and take your wallet, maybe.
Yeah, they absolutely would. Yeah, they're straight up criminals.
Yeah, New York had that as cats. Yeah.
The
Cro-Mags were like that, a little bit violent and a little bit illegal.
Yeah, well, because the Cro-Mags come from like real old Lower East Side where it was straight up homeless people and gutter punks living in abandoned buildings,
heroin addicts.
Like
yeah, no, but then a few scattered brilliant artists and weirdos and. Yeah, no, when I started comedy, I went to the Lower East Side. I went to Surf Reality in '99, and it was the one place that it blew my mind. You could smoke pot indoors, and it was so that scene. It was like, and the open mic went to 3 a.m, and it literally was like heroin addicts, some Puerto Rican dude, and then some it was just, and to be a kid from Virginia, just to see, that was like, one of the most mind-blowing and I was all by myself going solo and I signed up and I performed late night, but it was like, and going down there was before smartphones and shit. So it was scary. And I grew up in DC and I wasn't scared that much, but down there, I remember being like, because the show started at like 12:30. I was like, oh, this could go wrong. Like just being on the wrong, like it was like dark. You know how some of those Lower East Side streets at night, like you just feel alone.
Yeah, man. I used to do the Bowery Poetry Club midnight mic. That was like kind of one of the places I started at. Victor Bernardo used to host it. You ever do that back in the day?
Yeah, I did. That was like, and some of those guys were left over from Surf Reality. I remember that.
Right.
Yeah, but that was kind of a sweet spot. Like I did, I rapped on that stage. I did a rap show on that stage.
That was a real freak show.
Yeah, that was like the leftover of the Surf Reality, and that world did not exist with like Midtown or Carolines. Like it was like very segregated. Like it was like almost 2 other universes, like, floating around. And now it's not that way. Like people say everybody's split up in all these different camps, where I'm starting to see it. It's more individual. Like it's more like, because we have the technology, it's more like everybody's their own thing,
Yeah, I've made a big shift in that respect. Like I just now think about my comedy career the same way as like if I was a hardcore band or a rapper. Like I'm literally just an artist trying to put out content and build an audience and book shows. And it has like, as a comedian, you really don't need the comedy scene kind of at all, except for stage time, really. And obviously the support of your peers, that you can't really do anything without that. But in the long run, these comedy industry routes are just not what they used to be, right? So you don't really need them anymore. Like getting JFL or getting a late night set is not what it used to be. It doesn't launch your career. It might get you represented by some cokehead agent, but that's about it, dude. Like really all you have to do now is just be an independent artist, like as if you were a rapper, just or a hardcore band or punk band. Put up flyers, make t-shirts, get your stuff out there in front of people, and that's the entire gig. And making that mental shift has honestly made me feel a lot more free as an artist. Like I don't think at all about like what person's gonna feel this way about this bit or whatever, man. All I care about is
think about anybody. It's hard to, it's hard to not think about other people in life. But yeah, I think the number one rule is never give a fuck what other people think. If you're being true to yourself, and if you're being true to yourself, I think that's the way to be most sustainable. But with all that said, there's two counterpoints to everything. Is like the real love I get is on stage having fun and growing and flowing. Like that's like what I really love about stand up. And it takes a long time to get there. It just takes a long time. I mean, you're there, but it takes at least 7 years to learn just how to shift the gears in some way. And then the other thing is I still want mainstream success. I don't want to post clips forever. Give me a HBO show, give me 2.5 seasons and let me write or perform on that. And then I'll do some stand-up gigs on the side, and that way I'm just saying, I still will, I would jump on an NBC sitcom or any of that shit. How was your experience when you worked on a sitcom, Rel? Like, Mookie was here in New York, and then he took off. A little bit of a sad story with Kevin Barnett, his friend that passed away.
Oh yeah, a little bit. It's a little bit sad.
A little bit sad. I didn't want to bring it up, and that was the thing. But then I started, but I also wanted to think, Mookie, it was just like the listener would be interested about. You were actually on a real sitcom in the last 3 years, like what that experience was, and then why you were there.
Well, it was very brief, honestly. It was a very small part. It was super intense. Being on the set of a sitcom shot in front of a live audience is it's crazy because they have such a short amount of time to get so much stuff done, and it's scheduled incredibly tight. And the director on these type of shoots is just like a general. Like he's just like yelling out orders like go, 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 get it, wow. Get it, bang, bang. And so it's a lot of pressure. And so I feel like the whole thing was over in seconds after like a whole day of walking around in costume, being ready, practicing my 3 lines.
Yep.
And then the thing was over in seconds. And they actually, like, we did a take of it, and then they did a rewrite on the spot. They're like, okay, we want to change your line. So they gave me a different line. And then, like I said it one way. And then in my mind, I'm thinking like, okay, I'm going to try this. And then we're going to do it again. I'm going to try something a little different and we'll get it. Right. But then like, they're like, all right, we're done. I'm like, oh, fuck, it's over. Like before I even realized that it started, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And then, it's just a really small part. I ended up having like, I walk in a room and I scream, and then like I have like one line and it's over. But I guess the funny thing about it is
prime time.
The show's called Rel, and it's not even on anymore, but it was a all black sitcom. And I think I was only the second white person ever to be on the show. And I played a janitor in a hospital. So these are the roles that white guys get in Hollywood nowadays: janitor, gas station attendant, garbage man. So That's what you have to hope for, Rob.
I don't mind it. I'll take it. That check clears just as much as an accountant or fucking airline pilot. Yeah, make me out. I think acting's dope because you can just cut out from yourself from a minute and just have some fun. But yeah, what I
love it, dude. Set. You're great at it too. The shorts that we made, to go back to PMA, if we brought it up briefly, that was awesome because we just got to do our own thing. You know what I mean? And like I was saying about the rail shoot being over so fast, we did the exact opposite, where we did things just like as many times as we want, very loosely, like, oh, we'll try this, we'll try that, very little planning, and then it came out great because you end up with all this kind of awesome natural expression within the premise. You know what I mean? So that's how I like to work, really. Like, I like to be very loose, and for me, everything I've ever made is a nightmare to edit because of that reason.
But I know you edited our PMA video so good. Mookie edited and had a great eye, and you cut in the right jokes, and you understand television. And yeah, that was such a great product. Yeah, but when you're on those big budgeted like network, that's the thing about those gigs is like you can buy a house with this type of money. Like it's real, like, you know, real fucking don't fuck around money. And they don't have time.
Honestly,
they don't have time to fuck around. They just don't have time.
Money. They should spend that money feeding homeless people most of the time rather than making these shows, honestly.
Dude, Hollywood it is a machine, man. They crank right now. How many shows are being shot right now that maybe not ever be seen? Like maybe union shows.
Yeah.
And that all takes lighting. But it is dope. Like, I don't know. I'm learning more about filmmaking doing this podcast. I got a light on me. I got a sound has gotten a little bit better inch by inch. You know, I really move like a turtle, but I always keep going forward. But it's amazing when they get to Hollywood, like everything is at such a professional grade, like the lighting. Once you start fucking with union people, it's like the lighting people, that's what they fucking do. The sound is like they feed their kids doing the fuck, so that it's all bomb. But it takes a lot.
Yeah, man.
It's hard to
I worked on a project last year that had like almost a $3 million budget.
Oh shit.
And it still hasn't come out. It's just sitting on a hard drive somewhere for like almost a year now. I haven't heard a word about it being pitched or anything. I don't know if it will be, because it was with Complex and they were sold to BuzzFeed. It had a big mix up of all their upper staff, and no one knows what's happening. So it's like, that's what these companies do, bro. They just like ship that kind of money into something, and then now it's just a file. It's just megabytes, bro.
Dude, once you go up to a certain level, it's all business. I was thinking about that in the shower today. It's like, and businesses fold and move. Like old dudes just like buy up businesses, run it. If it's making money, then they flip the money. If it's not making money, everybody just scraps it. You know, everybody's just like, bottom line, this thing ain't making money. Bam, out. We got to keep moving. So yeah, man, it's a trip. Show business is a trip. Mookie, it's been almost an hour here. I don't want to take too much of your day. I know you're always writing, and I hope you pitch something that get me in and do a little part in, hopefully soon. But and vice versa. If I ever get something, I'll find something for you. I just think you're so much fun to work with, and thanks for being on the pod. Thanks for talking about all the shit. Congrats on the new YouTube your new special. Did you edited that? Just to tie it in real quick, did you do the cut and scratch yourself?
Yeah, I did that, and again, a similar process to PMA where I tore my hair out for weeks, but it got done because I'm not a professional editor. It's something I have an eye for the timing. But the actual stuff on the computer is something that I'm constantly learning as I go. So making it look like what I imagine is always a hurdle, but it got done, yeah. And it's definitely a blessing to be able to edit your own comedy. There's nothing more empowering, because leaving that in the hands of somebody else, to me, is an absolute nightmare. Anytime I've ever seen somebody else editing my stuff, it makes me feel nauseous, because I'm such a control freak about how my material is perceived that it's like, I need to be able to cut exactly at this line. I need to be able to cut out this word or this sound. And I mean, every comedian should learn how to edit for that exact reason, because it gives you so much power over your stuff. You can make yourself look as good as you're supposed to look, whereas somebody else doing it can only do their own version of it, and they're never going to quite see it the way you do.
True. Yeah, I mean, everybody's editing right now. That's and the tools are all right there, but it does take patience, and anything that you put your attention to is my new thing. Like, you got to block out all the distractions, and even though it looks complicated, you just kind of, if there's a will, there's a way. You could figure it out these days.
Yeah, dude.
So Mookie, what's the name of the special, and then we'll sign off.
The special is called Free Mookie. Quick story about that. The name is actually inspired because once outside of a hardcore show, a couple of cops came up and started harassing a big group of my friends, and I sort of cursed out the cops, and they like roughed me up and threw me against the car, like, arrested me. The guy was threatening to kick my ass and all this shit. And then so a bunch of my friends followed the cops down to the police station and made like signs and t-shirts that said Free Mookie on them. And so I had never seen the signs or the t-shirts because I was on the inside when all this happened, right? So after I got out, I didn't even know about it. So about a year ago, somebody posted a random picture of like one of my friend's bands playing at a show, and he's wearing a t-shirt that said Free Mookie and these like hand-drawn bubble letters. And I was like, that's it right there. So I named the special after that. I'm going to do a t-shirt also pretty soon that says Free Mookie too. So it's called Free Mookie. It's on YouTube, youtube.com/Mookie Thompson.
Oh, love it. That is dope, man. If you want me to do the bubble letters, I'm down, man. Just let me know. I'll stencil it up. I've been practicing my bubble letters. I got them fat.
If you want to do a quick sketch of it, just send me over. I'm taking submissions.
Yeah. I'll send you a pic.
I might even do multiple versions.
I got the most excellent set of Sharpies, my man. I got like these big. I got the silver joints. I got the neons. We'll see what I can do. You never know with art. You just kind of throw it down and then you see what happens. And sometimes it's fresh. And I'm looking forward to. I've checked out their clips and they're super fresh, Mookie. And I appreciate you being on the pod. Everybody, like and subscribe to the Cannabis Coffee Hour. Go check out Mookie. Like and subscribe to his YouTube. Support good art, man. That's it.
Yeah, if you do go watch the special, leave a comment and say you came from Rob's podcast.
Yeah, from the Cannabis Coffee Hour all day. Hashtag Cannabis Coffee Hour. I want to get that out there. So yeah, that would be dope. All right.
Hell yeah.
Thanks, Mookie. Love you, buddy. Be well.
All right. Peace, man. Thanks.
Discovering truth is not a question of intelligence. It's intelligence, no intellectual ability or intellectual intelligence at all. Because if it were, I mean, there's so many people with really sharp intellects. You know, they have such skill at comprehending or going to the point. So if that was all that it took, there'd be many Buddhas who came to the intellectual artery or vein, but it's not like that.